Hi guys, it's Dante with Drive and Thrive, and I felt that it was time for an updated video on the comparison between Ubereats, Doordash, and Postmates. In this video, I'm going to give you the pros and cons for each of the driving applications, and I'm going to say which one I feel is the best choice in 2019. So watch to the very end, and make sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss out on news, tips, and tricks for Ubereats, Doordash, and Postmates. Alright, so let's start with Ubereats, and this one is one of my favorite driver applications. It's the one that I use most often today. So, a lot has changed since the video I made over a year ago. One being, a major one, is Ubereats has done away with acceptance rates. So, acceptance rates doesn't matter anymore. Now, I actually made a video called The Number One Mistake That New Uber Eats Drivers Make. And it's about that exact principle, which is you don't have to accept the first order that comes around. You should wait for good opportunities, and you should plan your trips accordingly. So that's a biggie. That didn't exist when I first made the video. Another thing is Ubereats has very fast batch delivery orders, which means you can get 2 drives in a row or back-to-back drives. So that's one of the big pluses about Ubereats, is that a lot of times it's busier than the other 2 apps, and you can stack your orders. They also released a new application, and I made another video about the new app. So in the new app, you have updated user interface. You have statistics for how much you've made that week. You have new added safety features, like you can share your location with a friend or family so that you can feel more safe when you're driving, especially late at night. So yeah, the new app is amazing. They have a lot of cool new features, and because Ubereats is a part of Uber, they have a lot of money to pour into their application and services. So yeah, a lot has changed with Ubereats, and I definitely recommend you take a look at the video on the new Uber app and the number one mistake that new Uber Eats drivers are making. So that'll help you out on those big differences between this video and the first video. Another biggie, but it isn't necessarily a great thing, is that Ubereats is now almost exclusively door-to-door. I believe there are still some cities that are curbside, because it's not, I don't think they went national, but for the most part, most cities now have changed from being curbside to door-to-door. So it used to be a lot easier because you could just wait by the curb and the customers would come pick up the food. So people driving with disabilities, etc., like Ubereats was the place to go. But now, Ubereats has decided to go ahead and make it door-to-door. So the thing that still trumps all of the negatives for Ubereats for me, and there are a few, but the things that trumps everything is you don't need a card when you go to the restaurant. So Doordash and Postmates, you have to have a card, and you have to wait in line, you have to pay for the stuff, you have to wait for food. Ubereats automatically sends the payment to the restaurant. Most of the time when you get to the restaurant, the food is ready to go. So you just walk in the door, go to the restaurant, pick up the food, and you leave. So everything is very fast, and it creates a stress-free kind of driving experience, in my opinion. So for that reason, Ubereats is awesome. Okay, so let's move on to Postmates. The big difference between this video and the first video I made is, and a lot of people have criticized my first video on this one fact, Postmates approval time for new drivers has decreased. So whereas before Ubereats was really fast and Postmates and Doordash was kind of slow, like Doordash, for example, you had to physically go to a location and talk to someone. Well, now that's no longer true. So Postmates has decreased their acceptance time. So you're more likely to start driving faster. Now I don't know the exact times, they vary by person and city, I'm sure. But it is no longer true that you have to wait a couple of weeks to start driving. So that's a big thing. Another biggie is when I made my first video, Postmates, the pay time was staggered in such a horrible way. For example, you only got paid once a week, which you still can via direct deposit. And your tips came in at like this weird staggered rate, so you never knew how much you are going to get paid at any given time. Well, now Postmates has introduced instant pay, like, instant deposit. So you can get paid the same day, just like with Ubereats and Doordash. But the fee is a little bit higher than Ubereats because Ubereats fee is basically free. It's only 50 cents. So the fee is a little higher, but you get paid the same day, which is awesome. Very big plus for Postmates. I'm glad that they started to do that. Of course, they have PerkSpot, which I didn't mention in the last video. PerkSpot is this and Ubereats also has something similar to PerkSpot, which is you can get discounts for things like, so you can with Ubereats too and DoorDash, but you can get things like if you want an oil change, you can get a discount. If you want certain services that PerkSpot offers, and they vary, but you can get discounted, like you can get a discounted phone plan, for example. So that's something I didn't mention in my last video, but it's definitely here. Postmates has that, and Ubereats and DoorDash does as well. Postmates acceptance times, so Postmates doesn't care about acceptance, just like Ubereats does. Now the big positive that Postmates has is you get to know where you're going beforehand, which I love. And I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video, but you get to know where you're going to go beforehand, so you can choose whether to accept or not. And because acceptance doesn't matter, you can plan your trips accordingly. Just like with Ubereats, it's good to be able to plan where you're going to go. Although Ubereats, you don't get to know the location before. And also Postmates has batch deliveries, which is really nice. So sometimes, you can do one delivery job, get an immediate batch afterwards or during, and turn that into 3, maybe 4. And at the end of that drive, you have 30 or 40 bucks, which is pretty good. I've had that happen to me several times actually, so it's really good. So yeah, and of course, I feel like Postmates has the best tipping of all the applications because there's no cap on the tips. Like I've received I think the highest may have been $40 or $50 tip for one order. Like they don't cap the tip. Although with Ubereats, you get your tips in cash with Ubereats. You can get tips here and there from Ubereats, but you don't really get as many tips with Ubereats as you do with Postmates. And Postmates is basically unlimited, so you may look at your app in a couple of days and you see like a $20 tip. It's pretty nice actually. But the biggest downside, and why I will always tend to drive for Ubereats more than any of the other applications, is you have to pay with card. So you have a Postmates card, you have to go to the delivery place. Sometimes you have to place the order. Sometimes you actually have to place the order. You have to go in there, you basically have to place the order. You have the card. And I cannot express to you the level of stress that happens. You have to wait 30 or 40 minutes for one order. And and sometimes it turns out that the order wasn't even very expensive, so you're not gonna get tipped. Or sometimes, you wait that long and you're like, man, this guy better tip me. You can't force people to tip. And maybe you never get tipped. Sometimes you have big orders, $100 orders, $200 worth of food. You deliver it, you wait for your tip, and it never comes. They don't tip. So it doesn't feel fair. That's just the way of being a delivery driver, right? So I feel like just having that card increases the stress so much more than Ubereats, where it's already paid for. Most of the time you just go, you pick. Because no matter how fast or slow it is, I've always felt like Ubereats was way more stress-free for me. So it totally depends on your level of dealing with stress. But Postmates and having that card, that is always going to be a big knock until they decide to go the route of Ubereats and get rid of it. Okay, so finally, DoorDash. Okay, what has changed with DoorDash? A lot of negative stuff. Well, one thing that has changed for the better is they have this service where you can deliver a bunch of food, like catering. They have a catering service now. But the downside of the catering service is the time it spends for you to actually do everything required for one catering job. Well, you could have just, done your regular day with DoorDash and make the same $20. So if they're going to do the catering, they need to increase the prices. But if they increase the prices, maybe less people will want to do the catering, right? So it's just a big mess. So I never do it. I never do the DoorDash Drive catering thing anymore. So, what's the point, right? They have had major negative publicity regarding their tipping situation. It used to be even when I did my first video, it used to be when you drove for DoorDash, you know, you made your set amount, whatever that set amount was, and then you got tipped above that. Well, it turns out that DoorDash has been kind of stealing the tips from drivers, paying you less, and then pretending like your tip was the same price, right? And they've been called out for it, they've been sued in court, etc., etc. So it's a whole big thing. But for that reason, I have really turned off on DoorDash. I mean, it's really a big thing for me, because I just want, you know, whoever I drive for to be honest. And I've had horrible, stressful situations regarding their card, regarding their customer service, which the customer service people have always been nice to me. They haven't always been helpful. But I've had some really great days with DoorDash where I made a lot of money, where I made over $100 with DoorDash. So, you know, it's kind of hit or miss, but those controversial things that have happened with DoorDash, I can no longer in good conscience recommend DoorDash. I mean, if you want to drive for DoorDash, in fact, I'm even going to leave a referral code for DoorDash. If you want to drive for DoorDash, go ahead. You can still make money with them. But until they clear up some of the controversy from my end, I can no longer recommend them. So, in conclusion of this video, I am going to no longer recommend DoorDash. But if you want to drive for them, it's up to you. But me recommending DoorDash, I can no longer do it. I do recommend Postmates very strongly. They've always been professional. Although one thing I need to mention about Postmates is if you have any problems on an order, you can't call them. You just have to email them. So one great thing about DoorDash is you can get somebody on the phone on DoorDash almost immediately, and they will try to help you. They'll call the people, they'll do this, they will try their best to help you. They even have hubs. DoorDash has hubs in a lot of cities where if you need to physically go talk to someone, you can. Right? Postmates doesn't have any of that. So Postmates so if you have a problem, well, you're just out of luck. But on the plus side, if you do have a problem, well, you can cancel the order, and like as long as you don't cancel too much, everything's gonna be all good. You know, DoorDash, you're much more likely to get deactivated than you are from Postmates. So DoorDash, you're much more likely to be deactivated. You're much more likely to be stressed in the order. There's controversy regarding tipping. So there's that. I no longer recommend. Postmates I do recommend, but for those small deductions from Postmates that I have to keep taking away from Postmates, who I drive with and who I recommend wholeheartedly that you drive with is Ubereats. Now, I still believe that my advice at the end of my first video was true. Sign up for all three of them. You know, try driving for Ubereats, drive for Postmates, drive for DoorDash. Your experience may be different from mine. Please leave a comment below if you feel like I'm being unfairly harsh on DoorDash, or if you feel like Postmates is the best choice or Ubereats is the best choice. Please let me know. Let me know if I missed any details, if I missed any of the updates, or if I got any information wrong in this video. Please let me know and I'll try to correct it. But who I recommend you immediately go down there and sign up with is Ubereats. Try them out, drive, make money, tell me how it goes. Watch my other videos about tips for Ubereats, so how to maximize the amount of money you make, maximize your efficiency, etc. And sign up for Postmates. If Postmates is available in your city, which is one small problem with Postmates, they're not as expansive everywhere as Ubereats is. So, yeah, and sign up for DoorDash if you want to. Give it a try. You know, you're not going to lose out on DoorDash, but it's not going to be as good of an experience as with Ubereats and Postmates. So sorry, DoorDash. If a DoorDash employee is watching this or something, I'm sorry. You guys can correct this. Let's get it out in the open about this controversy with the tips. And but there's lawsuits involved. So yeah. So that's my updated review. Please leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And as always, remember to drive and thrive.